Okay. Hello. Okay. So you might have seen, I just posted a video about this, but I'm going to do a more detailed breakdown for you guys. So stick around. I'm going to try to buzz through this. You definitely want to watch this. Seriously. So I'm going to talk to you today about the most common diet mistake I see. This comes from the number one most common question that I've been getting that I honestly don't know how to answer because it's a little bit complicated, okay? So this is my way of explaining the answer to the question of, John, how do I lose weight? I can't seem to lose weight. I'm in a calorie deficit, but I'm not losing any weight. And here I'm going to explain exactly why you're not losing weight, you're not going to lose weight, and if you take even the tiniest misstep, you're going to screw yourself up majorly. I'm not gonna have time to get into all the solutions because I'm only one person and this is only one live chat, but you need to understand the problem before we can talk about the solution. So let's take someone named Cindy, okay? Cindy is eating X amount of food, okay? She is 300 pounds. She's about 50% body fat. Okay, so that means she's 150 pounds of lean mass and 150 pounds of fat mass. Okay, so very overweight. She's obviously motivated to take care of this. And so she Googles something, or maybe a health professional or some random person on TikTok tells her, a woman your size should eat 1,200 calories a day. So she, without ever knowing where she was starting, Cindy goes down to 1,200 calories, okay? And let's say Cindy, because she's a strong person, she wants to do well, Cindy stays on her diet 100% perfectly, okay? Cindy stays on 1,200 calories. But after a while, she notices that her weight loss is starting to peter out after about 6 weeks. It's getting kind of frustrating, right? So first off, let's explain what happened. There's something called non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is something that is the bane of my frigging existence, okay? Because when I'm on a diet, right, let's just make this about me, because I am Cindy, right? We're all Cindy. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is all the calories you burn in a day. That's not what you do at the gym. It's not your cardio. It's not your the walk you take around the block. This is like literally what I'm doing right now, moving around. If you do a little dance while you're waiting for something in the microwave, that's neat. If you stand up to take a phone call versus sit down, that's neat, okay? If you decide to actually do your dishes, that's neat, okay? Everything that you're doing is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Now imagine every single minute, calorie here, calorie there, every minute of your waking life. This can add up to a lot of your daily calorie burn, your total daily energy expenditure. So here was Cindy's total daily energy expenditure, and it was directly in line with what she was eating in a day. And this is the reason our weight stays the same for a long period of time, because we're in maintenance. Our total daily energy expenditure and what we put in our mouths during a day, whether it's juice, cookies, salad, all of it, doesn't matter. If it's the same amount of energy, which we measure in calories, our weight stays the same. So we don't know yet what number Cindy was taking in every day. But we know whatever it was the same as her total daily energy expenditure. Now we know that she's dropped her calories a lot. And so the body immediately starts shutting down non-exercise activity thermogenesis, because this is stuff that we don't always control consciously, okay? So you might not, you won't realize that you're doing this, okay? Trust me, I've dieted every wrong way imaginable. And I absolutely fell victim to this. And I didn't even know about it for years, until maybe 2 years ago. I didn't even know this concept existed. Okay, so NEAT is one of the reasons that Cindy's weight loss is stalling. And if it's stalling really bad, it's a clue that the amount of deficit Cindy has created is fairly extreme. The more moderate of a deficit you're in, the less NEAT will decline, okay? So we can also see that her total daily energy expenditure, it doesn't matter how much exercise she's doing, her total daily energy expenditure is also going down. Sometimes it can go down quite significantly. For the purpose of this example, we're gonna assume that we're gonna say it roughly follows NEAT. That's not always the case, but I'm trying to move quickly through this. So the area under this curve is the amount of weight that Cindy has lost, okay? So the first couple weeks, we love this, right? This is maybe 3 pounds, 2.5 pounds a week, and then we have these weeks where it's, 2.2 pounds, 1.8 pounds, still good, but Cindy is still chasing this, right? We've all done that, where the first couple weeks we start losing weight, and now we're like, oh, sweet, I lost 3 pounds the last 2 weeks, so let me carry the one, beep, 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 and then we divide the distance to our goal weight by how we did like the first 2 weeks of the diet, and then we decide that's our timetable. And then inevitably, it's not gonna go that fast. And it starts to slow down, sometimes for very natural reasons, which actually this will explain in some detail. But either way, it's gonna go down. And the more it goes down, this is obviously mentally a big struggle. We've all been there, right? I do not even want to begin to describe to you guys the number of tantrums I've thrown over getting on the scale and not seeing the number I wanted, okay? Even though I had been working really hard. We're gonna give Cindy a hard time today. Cindy's our example. But like I said before, I am Cindy. Most of you are also Cindy. We are all Cindy, okay? And so this is a point of pain that I sympathize with hugely. And the whole point of this is not to lay blame at anyone's feet. It's to hopefully eventually get people out of this awful, awful place. Because I haven't even fully described how awful it is. So her weight loss is stalling out. It might have stalled completely, right? Maybe she holds a little bit of water this week and she doesn't even see this 1.5 pounds on the scale. She sees no change, even though she actually did lose some weight. Okay? So easily, these sorts of things can be obscured by normal fluctuations in body weight. So we get to here. What else is going on here, right? We've got stress. This sort of huge calorie deficit is a stress to your system, okay? It can be a hermetic stress, one that causes our body to adapt in healthy ways, but it's definitely a stress when conducted for weeks at a time. So, and notice that at no point have I mentioned BMI. Okay, we're not going to talk about BMI. We don't need to talk about BMI. So, Cindy has had it. Cindy has worked really hard, and who wants to work hard for 2 weeks and then not see their paycheck, right? This is what happens when you work hard for something and the scale doesn't show you what you think you deserve. And she is stressed out. Her hormones are out of whack, and she's had enough. And she eats a pizza, whatever. Most of the time, we know that people in this situation, emotionally, their calories go through the roof, and it might last for weeks or months, okay? But we're gonna be really generous with Cindy, and we're gonna say that Cindy is the one person who, when they burn out on a diet, just goes back to her normal amount of eating. I want you to remember how not representative that is of most of our experience, because usually we go from here and we emotionally binge eat, right? So let's just say she goes right back up to where she was before, okay? No harm, no foul, right? She lost some weight, then she went back up. We're all good in the hood, right? No. So here, Cindy lost 10 pounds, let's say. Okay, so the area under this curve, we're gonna say equates to 10 pounds, okay? Except the problem is, she didn't lose all of that 10 pounds from fat. We can tell by the rate at which her NEAT descended that she's in a severe calorie restriction. When you're in that severe of a calorie restriction, and obviously Cindy is not a very highly trained individual, she's probably not deadlifting 3 times a week. You know what I'm saying? She's probably not. So, Cindy lost 10 pounds, but she didn't realize that she was hemorrhaging lean mass. So she actually lost 5 pounds of fat and 5 pounds of lean mass. And if you don't believe that this can happen in 6 weeks, go get a DEXA scan. You can watch this happen in real time when you put yourself on a diet like this. So then she puts her calories back up here. And now maybe she's counting calories now, and she goes, oh, this is what I was eating before. Turns out this is 3,000 calories. All along, this was 3,000 calories, okay? She never knew that. And we'll get back to this. This was her first fatal mistake. Not fatal, but you know what I'm saying. So instantly, does her total daily energy expenditure get back up here? No. First of all, that's a process. NEAT will increase over time because we're not in a calorie deficit anymore. That's the one thing we got going for us. She's not going to feel as lethargic. Is she going to bounce back to where she was before? Maybe, maybe not. But let's say she kind of does, okay? But her total daily energy expenditure will not fully get back up here. Why? Because she doesn't have the same lean mass. Remember, this is metabolically active tissue. That means that it requires calories just to keep muscle on your body, not build it, keep it. So if you put yourself into a deep calorie restriction, the deeper you go, the more severe the calorie restriction, the more your body is going to decide, listen, I need to get rid of some tissue to balance my budget. Should I get rid of fat, which doesn't cost me any calories to hold on to it? It's literally just sitting there in the bank. Or should I get rid of some of this lean mass, which is literally burning calories just by sitting there? The choice is obvious. So the new ceiling for Cindy's total daily energy expenditure is here. And this is, of course, assuming she hasn't kept up with some insane exercise protocol, which when does that ever happen? Who blows up, binge eats, goes off their diet, but keeps doing an hour of cardio every day? Very rare. So what happens here is for the next 6 weeks, let's say, Cindy slowly gains more weight. And these being roughly equal, Cindy gains 10 pounds. And she will actually continue to gain weight if she keeps eating 3,000 calories a day, because wherever this is, her new ceiling is lower than what she's accustomed to eating. You guys getting the problem here? She thinks that she's back to baseline. But guess what? She drove baseline down by crash dieting. So now she's actually only burning this much, even though she's just going back to what she was eating before. But you might say, well, she lost 10 pounds, she gained 10 pounds. No. The net effect does not wash out. This is not a push. She lost 5 pounds of lean mass. That was metabolically active tissue. This is a major loss, right? This is pounds of lean mass that are not going to burn calories every day while she's sleeping. She also only lost 5 pounds from fat. And then she gained back 10 pounds as fat. 100% of this was fat. Why? Because of the hormonal environment that we create when we crash diet. So all of this is fat. So she has actually created a net gain of 5 pounds of fat for all her effort. All she did was go on a diet because someone told her to go on 1,200 calories a day. She did it perfectly until she burned out like any of us would. And then she just went back up to eating the way she was before. And what happened? She gained 5 pounds of fat. Okay, now does this sound like a nightmare scenario that you have lived through? I know I certainly have. I've fallen into this one a lot. So you'd think that the way things have blown up on TikTok, for me, you'd think that I would be meeting a lot of people right here. They're severely overweight, they have no idea what to do, and they just need someone to walk them through the process. Hopefully, kicking off this whole process in a much better way, which I will teach people how to do. I'm very glad to do that. I've been doing it. You can watch my other videos. You can go to my Facebook group and see the other videos that I've reposted there. But the point here is, I'm finding, just between me and you guys, this is actually where the majority of people are. And of course they are, because guess what? People who are severely overweight are not weak. They don't lack motivation. They want this. They want to be healthy. They want to jump and run and see their kids frickin' grow up. It's not their fault, and it's not your fault, and it wasn't my fault. This is the evidence of sincere hard work. This is effort. This takes guts. And look what we get for it. And people wonder why people give up and lose themselves even more to emotional eating or drinking or smoking or grave robbing. I don't know, whatever your kink is. So most people are here. Most people, when they say, John, I can't lose weight, they're not saying, I can't lose weight from here. This is about 40% of people that I'm seeing, and this is about 60. 60% of people have some experience dieting. And because, why are severely overweight people sucked into this even more? Because they have so much weight to lose and they want to live, and they know they need a huge change. They know that no one needs to tell them. Some little kid at a party doesn't need to point at them and say something rude. They know they need a big change, right? In their circumstances. And so we fall into this trap of thinking that to change our circumstances in a big way, we have to change what we're doing in a big way. It's going to take a big effort, right? We're taught this in all these really unproductive ways, but it happens all the time through society, subtly teaching us that weight loss requires an act of God, like it's almost a heroic effort, right? And we always watch these transformation videos where someone is like, oh, I'm so fat. And then like on TikTok, the girl like spins around and then the music is playing and she's all skinny and she's like, ha ha ha, right? And we go, oh my God, that skinny girl saved the fat one. No. Cindy is the one who created the transformation. Cindy, at 300 pounds, it's always you here who makes the changes that count. It's not Cindy when she gets to her goal weight someday. That's not the Cindy that made this happen. This is the Cindy that made it happen. Okay, so I truly believe that weight loss can be easy. And it's no gimmick. I'm not selling. I literally have nothing to sell you. I know for a fact it can be easier than it was for me. And this is part of the reason why. Because what we fall into the trap of is thinking that, and besides, the other big question I get is, John, how do I lose weight? I'm a woman. Women have hormones. Women have hormones. Yes, true. Men have hormones. There are almost no hormones that women have that men don't have. Progesterone, estrogen, the list goes on. There's like 40 common hormones and we share almost all of them. Now, obviously in different quantities. However, when you are severely overweight, when you become insulin resistant, that's when your sexual organs, your glands, your ovaries or your testicles start getting confused and start producing the wrong set of hormones. So women might develop PCOS from an increased production of testosterone. Men can go through a male menopause, right? Where they start carrying a lot of weight. Uncle Beth or Aunt Beth, Sorry. Aunt Beth, she might start to develop, she's kind of going through puberty, right? As a 13-year-old boy, like maybe she's getting a mustache or hairier arms. It's harder to, I don't know. It's just different, right? It's bad enough, especially when people hit this sort of stuff around menopause, which is enough of a shift. But yeah, Uncle Joe can start developing breasts. He can start developing voluptuous hips and butt, right? And I know it's hard for ladies, but ladies, here's a newsflash for you. Men get high estrogen, and it screws them up just as much as you get screwed up when super high insulin levels that never get to come down because you're always snacking throughout the day, and your ovaries start producing testosterone. It sucks for a woman to start developing male features, right? It's not how they're designed. I mean, it's just, I don't want to get into a whole political thing. That's not what I'm talking about at all. But like, imagine being a 50-year-old guy who, was really athletic. He gains a little bit of weight, but because of that, because he did it like maybe with a lot of carb intake or whatever, he spikes his estrogen levels and now he's got boobs. Like, yeah, we all laugh about man boobs, but I mean, imagine like that's a severe like mental health risk now, because he's now walking around with this constant reminder that he's not a man, or that's the way he might process it, right? So we changed the names. Sorry, I had to pick. Maybe I should pick less common names. But then if I pick like Methuselah, and somebody's gonna be like, "My name's Methuselah," you're definitely talking about me. So, okay, so this is why hormones spare none of us. Okay, we all have hormones. We all get screwed hormonally when we get into this trap, and this is why we diet really hard, and then we like have one day where we eat more and we see our weight skyrocket. And yes, a lot of time that is just water weight. However, I've seen where I've proven to myself that it wasn't just water weight through different little experiments I did. I proved that I was putting on fat way faster than should even be like possible based on a lot of the science I was being fed. And part of the reason is that, yeah, your hormones can get completely thrown out of whack. And yeah, that's not counting the emotional and mental health cost. The things that are going on behind the scenes that, quite frankly, like I said before, it's never this nice. It's usually a mess far beyond this, right? I just use this very conservative example to point out what a giant trap this is, and how freaking stupid and unfair this is. That this has been going on for decades in our country. And sadly, there are people who have passed on and will never know that they were playing a rigged game because the information they were working with was just garbage. And they did it the whole time feeling like failures when all they had done was tried hard. And that's the shame of it all. And that's the biggest thing that motivates me, because everybody on here, or if you're on here because you have a loved one who's struggling with their weight, like, I want to help you just learn from me, because I've already figured it out, how to make this stuff easy. Because it's easy to feel like this is the reason, right? Oh, I have hormones, so this must be why I can't lose weight. But you see, no, it's not your hormones, right? Your weight isn't the cause. You're definitely, the hormones are not the cause of the weight gain. If anything, it's the other way around. And your weight isn't even the cause. Your weight is the result of a whole number of factors, okay? So let me, and guys, if you want to see this, it's available on the Facebook group. It will go up later, okay? We often say, I've got medical problems, got maybe a hormonal imbalance, and let's not even get into the fact that a lot of people have been diagnosed by Dr. Google. They'll tell me, oh, well, I have X, Y, and Z condition. I can't lose weight. And it's like, okay, what doctor told you that? Well, my friend had it and I have all the same symptoms. I laugh because I have been this person, very much so. I used to be a huge hypochondriac and I still am a little bit. I totally convinced myself I had COVID yesterday because I had a tiny little tickle in the back of my throat. And I've been vaccinated twice, so. So we have medical problems and hormonal imbalances. And we often think, oh, these are what's blocking me from getting to the magical land where I am at my goal weight. Okay? This is usually not the case. And if you're the exception, like, that's okay. I truly understand that it is possible to have medical issues that might severely impede your ability to lose weight. But it usually doesn't impede it all the way. It might just slow it down. It might just be an obstacle. And trust me, just know that I don't even have time to list for you all this stuff that I had in these categories when I started my weight loss journey. But I lost 200 pounds partially by not quitting, because when you start making healthy changes, sometimes that's what your body needs to start getting healthy enough to get over some of these hurdles and start losing weight. And then once you lose 10 pounds, all of a sudden this belief that you have that my medical issues are stopping me from losing weight, all of a sudden that lie gets completely broken. The illusion is done and you can just carry on with the business, right? So we often think, oh, my medical problems or my hormonal imbalance are stopping me from losing weight. And you might think, well, my current weight, right, let's just say 300 pounds, that's stopping me, that's causing these imbalances, right? But what if we went one step further back? You know, 300 pounds didn't drop out of the sky and hit us, right? No one is sneaking brownies into your mouth in the middle of the night, okay? 300, and I'm not talking about taking responsibility, none of that. I'm talking about seeing your severe weight issue or your significant others or whoever you care about, their weight issue is not the cause. It's one of the symptoms. It's a symptom just like these are, okay? And weirdly, if you think about it, this is not even an impediment to being at your goal weight. Let's think about that one for a second. I'm probably going to lose 5 to 7 people by just pausing out here, but I want you to think about that. Your weight is not an impediment to you being at your goal weight. Why is that? Because your weight is a circumstance. Your weight is the product of a whole series of process. Oh, I'm losing battery. I'm going to grab my charger real quick. Oh, where is it? Dang. Okay, well, I'll try to wrap this up. The most effective way to get from here to here isn't by making some completely other huge effort to get to goal weight. Because as we've shown before, that is fraught with all kinds of pitfalls, quicksand, stuff like from Indiana Jones, like arrows flying at your head, okay? If you start to see your weight today as the logical endpoint of a number of factors that have been going on for years and are going on today, and here's the real mind effort of it all. You have to participate in these processes to some level tomorrow to keep yourself at 300 or 400 or 500 or 600. And as much as you feel like this is causing your anguish, it's actually probably the other way around. So, obviously I'm not going to be able to get into the details here, but just conceptually, like give it a day. Like I'll be back here with more videos. You can join the Facebook group. I'm doing this all the time. I'm getting close to doing it full time. So, but just for now, consider that what if instead of making some huge effort, like society tells you weight loss has to be, what if I start identifying the processes that are creating this and recreating it every single day. And simply start letting them go. Something that you're holding to so tightly because you're afraid that you'll die if you don't eat a certain way. If you don't like freak out and just go racing for Doritos. To let go of one thing after another, an unhealthy emotional attachment. To get therapy and have somebody like get in your brain and help you process that childhood trauma. Really process it, right? Ending the mental cycles that we all live in. And yeah, that can take a long time. But guess what? It makes this is no longer some huge otherworldly task, right? This is no longer something that you're going to be paying, like you're going to be up at 3 a.m. eating cheese and being like, oh, for $49.99, I can buy this special exercise ball that's going to melt the fat off. You get to stop buying into all that bullshit. And this becomes just a matter of course. Because if you end all those other processes that are keeping your weight high, it's not automatic, but it's next to that. And this is how I have lost 200 pounds and kept it off with no effort. You know, I don't have it all figured out, but I have a lot figured out. I have a lot of what not to do figured out. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys see that crash dieting is not the way to do this, right? Because if we let all of these major efforts are often driven by a sincere desire to get better, but that doesn't get a chance to breathe. And that doesn't get a chance to actually work itself out in a series of logical baby steps. Because anxiety gets involved and the massive amounts of information in our society get involved, and it gets us to the point where me saying weight loss can be easy, losing 100 pounds can be easy, that sounds like crazy talk. And I understand why it would. But truly, I'm telling you, if you start building awareness of what you're doing to keep your weight where it is, you will have a much easier time letting those things go. Because you can't let something go if you're not even aware of your attachment to it. And remember, the first mistake that Cindy made in our example, and if you didn't see this, you can watch the replay on Facebook. There's a link in my bio, okay? The first mistake Cindy made wasn't going on a crash diet. The only reason Cindy got fooled into going on a crash diet is because she didn't even know that she was eating 3,000 calories a day before she went on the 1,200. If she knew she was only eating 3,000, she was eating a full 3,000 calories a day, maybe she would have said, gee, maybe I should go down to 2,500. And that would have been much more sustainable. That would have stopped this entire nonsense, right? Especially if she was able to conceive that her weight loss could be an automatic process of healing and letting go rather than some mountain that she has to climb up with a 10,000 pound backpack. You get to put the backpack down and you get to realize that the hill is of our own making or society's making or whatever you want to say. My phone's going to die, but I'll try to answer. Oh, their stamp. Thank you very much. Jeez, you're going to make me cry. Cheat days help reset your metabolism and hormone imbalance, correct? I don't know that's true. I know that it might be somewhat true. It also might not be the truth at all. That is a great question. It's honestly one that it's on my short list to get better answers on. I used cheat days as part of my effort. It was my ham-fisted way of trying to deal with some of these issues. It was how I tried to not diet myself into a hole. However, the way I did it, I still ultimately did the same thing. So I don't have a totally clear answer for you on that one, but hey, that's what you get from me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to BS you if I don't know the answer. subscribe for only $19.99. Hey, and if I start charging for stuff eventually, okay, I hope you guys don't get too mad at me. Like, if you want me to do this full time, I need to actually make an income. It's not because I'm trying to take everyone for a ride. It's that, yeah. So how do you do it then? Well, I got to the end, right? It's not about what you do. It's about what you've been doing. How do you fix it? Stop trying to fix it and start letting go of the things you've been doing to keep yourself in this situation. And I know that sounds like a difficult answer. I'd probably want to smack me for if I heard that when I was 420 pounds. But if you look for a quick fix, you're going to get nothing but pain. There's no quick fix here because we did not get here quickly and we're not going to get out quickly. But I promise you, if you give yourself permission not to take the best step, but to take just the next step, then you will automatically avoid a lot of these massive overshoots that get you into a lot of metabolic stress and trouble, okay? Do you gain the lean mass back by strength training / protein? Short answer is yes. That is a fantastic way. That's something Cindy could have been doing to mitigate some of the effects of this. And people who do go on pretty severe caloric restrictions can at least limit the amount of lean mass that they lose because of strength training and getting a lot of protein. Yes, I'll be sharing this to the group. Meebs, you're welcome. Are no carbs the answer? No. Carbs can be absolutely a part of any massive weight loss diet. I ate carbs pretty much the entire time. I went keto for a little bit, but it didn't work. And it wasn't the fault of keto. It was because I was doing this kind of crap to myself. But hey, if you, as far as like, if you have like insulin resistance and that's causing PCOS or it's causing high estrogen levels or God knows what else, doing no or very low carb for a while can be good. You should talk to your doctor. But that's a very common recommendation these days from doctors. Damn, I love you, B.O. I love you too, B.O. My job requires the change. It is super stressful. Yeah, so I want to be clear. The solution isn't, oh, Cindy just should have lifted weights. No, Cindy, what I'm suggesting is a complete different way of looking at ourselves and this whole thing of weight loss to begin with, right? And I know that that's not an easy answer, but do you want me to lie to you guys? Like, oh, focus. Listen, do you want easy answers? Because I'd just be giving you guys bullshit. I'd be giving you more of the same bullshit that you've been getting from all these internet marketers and all these fitness professionals for years, because they are the part of the reason why this is all way more complicated than it needs to be. We get into this trouble because the real truth of how to lose significant amounts of weight has been obscured by people who are needed to complicate the issue so that they could sell you the solution, okay? And they would always complicate the issue, not according to the real issue, but in a way that served their $49.99 pill that they wanted you to buy. And we always buy it because we're desperate. It's a billion and billions and billions of dollar industry every single year. And most of it is fed by misinformation. Not always in completely bad faith, but sometimes it is. So yeah, I don't have like one simple solution other than this is at the end of the day about loving yourself. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. And it's about giving yourself permission to actually do these things. And that once you give yourself permission to take small, sustainable steps, you will become unstoppable. Because you don't need to take the best step or the most optimal step. You certainly don't want to pretend that you can make one giant leap and lose 100 pounds in a week, right? Or 6 months or what. You just need to do the next step for where you're at. Because what someone else's next step is, that's not your next step. That could be way too big or way too small. If you just focus on the next step, the next thing that's in front of you, and don't let your anxiety try to get you to live way in the future, Because if your anxiety can get you to live way in the future with your goal weight and all that, that's a fantasy, that's an illusion. And if it can do that, it can get you to live in all the darkness of the past, right? Either way, it's keeping you out of the moment right here. And the moment right here is the only place where your strength exists. Your strength isn't out in the future, and it's not way in the past. Your strength, your ability, that is absolutely inside of you, okay? Because you wouldn't still be here. You've been through the absolute ringer, guys. You could be 400 pounds and you feel worthless, but I'm telling you, you're not. You couldn't be. Do you know how hard it is to be 400 pounds? I know, it's awful. And I couldn't have done it if I wasn't strong. And so that's why these transformation videos make me so mad, because they give the impression that the thin person on the inside escaped the fat person. No. Like, the fat person was the strong one all along. The thin person didn't save the big person. The big person saved both of them. Right? And you will begin to realize that you have this strength and this massive ability. Again, I don't get any money for pumping you guys up. I don't bullshit people. I 100% don't. The whole reason that this TikTok is blowing up is because I tell you guys the truth, and I have a unique perspective, right? That actually is like something different. Why? Because I had to drag myself out of hell. There was no time for bullshit. I shouldn't even be alive. The only reason I'm alive is because I had to figure this stuff out. And it got to the point where I didn't want to do this stuff because, who am I? But I knew that it would help some people. I didn't realize that it would help this many people. You guys can do it. Baby steps. Baby steps. And then taking baby steps is seriously, I literally would say that out loud. I just need to take baby steps because it keeps you from overreaching. Think about it. When you're on the highway and you're steering, yesterday I was driving 100 miles an hour through Montana. Don't ask me why. It's kind of legal there, kind of. Was I making big adjustments? No. Tiny little adjustments to keep me where I needed to go. And you can do the same thing with your weight loss. All right, sincerely, I got love for you guys. It's a long journey ahead, but I'm not going anywhere. We're just getting started, okay? So don't be in a rush. You didn't get here in a day. We're not gonna get out in a day. But get comfortable with the idea that this process might take some time. And if you're anything like me and you just absolutely cannot get your mind around the idea that this could be a process, ask yourself why that is. Because if I had done that, it would have made my life a lot easier. Because I would have found that I wasn't okay with it being a process because I thought I had to get the weight off so that I could be loved. I thought that I was treading water in the middle of the ocean and my goal weight was like washing ashore, finally, on the desert island. And that's not the truth. It's the opposite. When you make yourself into a safe place, when you realize that you are and always have been the safe place, when you realize that you have been the constant through all the bullshit you've been through, you have been the constant, not as the cause, but as the one keeping it afloat. You were the one, you weren't responsible for finding yourself out in the middle of the ocean. You were the one treading water. You were the one keeping your head up. You are the reason that you haven't gone under. And now that I'm gonna start to take some of the 10,000 pound backpacks off of your shoulders, you're just gonna get to see all the character that has been kind of obscured or that you haven't wanted to see. And that's gonna be hard. You're gonna resist it. We're crazy. We're so messed up. It's hilarious. Oh, humanity. Okay, guys. It's helping you a lot. Good, Jason. What's the first baby step to take? The crazy cat lady. You tell me. You know what the next step is. That's what's so annoying, but so true about this. You know what the next step is. You know what the next step is. You know in your heart that there's the next step, and then there's what anxiety is telling you you have to do yesterday, right? If the voice is saying, listen, you got to do this and it's got to be done now. In fact, it's already too late. It had to be done yesterday. You know that voice is the anxiety voice that's trying to save you, even though it's just going to push you further out in the water. And it always has been doing that. But if you feel like, listen, this voice is hard to listen to because it's giving me permission to actually not treat myself like shit, that's usually the baby step voice. You know, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go for a walk. Here's one of the things about the baby steps that can let you know that it's a good baby step if it's really easily attainable. I know that sounds simple, but that's what a baby step is. It's super easily attainable. So like, let's say someone has never exercised in their life, and maybe they got a Peloton or something, thinking that this was the solution. So they've got the Peloton, it's been sitting there for 6 months since Christmas. Here's what I would tell them. Your baby step is to get on that Peloton and turn the pedals one time. And you might be thinking, John, that's a total waste of time. Turning the pedals one time isn't gonna do anything. You're right, but here's what it is gonna do. If you say to yourself, my goal is to get on the Peloton and turn the pedals one time, and then you get on the Peloton and turn the pedals one time, two things are gonna happen. You're not gonna stop there. You're probably gonna keep going. The hardest part of having a good workout is always just getting started. And by keeping your expectations super low, it doesn't allow you to just create this barrier to entry out of thin air, okay? I use this trick with myself all the time, still today. The second thing it's gonna do, and more importantly, is when we set out a goal and we accomplish it, we get a little hit of dopamine, okay? This is why kids love video games. This is why they always wanna beat the level, because you want that hit of dopamine, okay? You get to decide how hard the level is. You design it. You're designing the game as you live it. So stop designing games with impossible to beat levels. And then you fail, and then you go, oh, I'm such a failure. And it cements all your bullshit, false beliefs about yourself, right? And it drives this stuff deeper. You get to set the difficulty level on the game. You get to say, listen, I'm gonna set this absurdly low. And I actually do this on video games because I suck at video games. And it's the only way I can get myself to play them. So you get on the bike for one day with some absurdly low goal to turn the pedals one time. And what you accomplish there is a victory. And you got your brain to get that little hit of dopamine and say, ooh, I like that. And so now your brain knows, hey, if I want that hit of dopamine, I can get on the bike. And yeah, tomorrow maybe the goal is to pedal twice. And maybe it's to pedal for a minute and then 2 minutes. And you just keep the goals absurdly attainable. You assure yourself victory every single day. Now imagine if we could create consistency where you did a little bit every day and just raise the water level a tiny bit every day for a month, 3 months, 6 months. What would be happening? Have you ever seen what can happen in 6 months when an obese person starts doing any amount of exercise? I've seen astonishing changes. I've seen it myself, okay? Consistency beats intensity. In fact, intensity is quite often the enemy. Remember? This is intensity. This is the delusion of intensity, okay? Meditating, ooh, flunt 4. Yeah, I'm a big fan of meditation. Meditation was a huge level up for me. Okay, guys, I'm gonna run. I gotta help put my girls to bed. And I just really appreciate you. This is one of my most attended lives ever. So thank you guys for being here and sticking around. I hope that this was an encouragement. And I'll see you guys on the Facebook group if you wanna watch the replay. Otherwise, I'll just see you, here on the talk. All right, be good to yourselves. I'll see you next time.